Greetings, BookTube. I'm Michael Romeo, and I talk about books. And this time I'm talking about my March wrap-up. March was an okay month. I didn't get a whole lot read for a couple of reasons. One, it was a very busy month, and then also two of the books that I started were for the March of the Mammoths reading event, which means both of those books were over 800 pages long, one of which was 1,400 pages long. And I have to admit, I didn't finish either one yet. The first one, the print one, is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. And I have to be honest, it's not really connecting with me. It's a bit of a slog to read. And part of me says maybe it's the translation I chose, but I really don't think so. Now, I've loved the movies that I've seen. There are several dramatic movies, and then there was the musical, and those were thoroughly enjoyable for me in all cases. But something about the way the book is written just is not hooking me, and I'm reluctant to put it on the DNF, but I think it's going to be one I chip away at bit by bit over the next several months, maybe even throughout the rest of the year. But on the flip side, on audiobook, I've been listening to 11/22/63 by Stephen King, and that one is a good read. That is very good. Yes, an audiobook can count as a book with pages because it is based on source material that has pages, and in this case, the source material is, I believe, 869. And this book is, it's one of Stephen King's best. We know Stephen King is a master storyteller, and especially when it comes to character development and deep multi-layered plots. And this book has both of those. And I may not have finished it yet, but I'm going to continue on. And when it comes to audiobooks, I listen to them mostly when I'm driving to and from work or running errands. So it can take a little while for me to get through a really long audiobook. But I am enjoying it. I love the characters, I love the main character, and I'm anxious to see how the plot pans out. Now, I did finish a couple of books. As I've mentioned before, my wife and I read to each other. She's reading a series to me that is the Brother Cadfael series, and we finished another one of the books in that series called Dead Man's Ransom. And if you haven't tried the Brother Cadfael books, you're really missing out, because not only are they great mysteries, but just the setting being 12th century England, close to Wales, and set in the monastery. It's a wonderful setting. The characters are so colorful, and the plots are, I don't think I figured out yet one whodunit. It's always a surprise. And then me reading to her, I'm reading to her the Ian Rutledge series by Charles Todd. And again, it's another great series. Really check it out. Charles Todd has created a wonderful main character in Inspector Ian Rutledge. He's a World War I veteran who fought in the Somme and ended up with what we would now call post-traumatic stress disorder, but back then they called shell shock. And the way it manifests itself, continuing to manifest itself, it's fascinating, and it's getting more and more intense as the series goes on. I also finished Cape Fear, a book I did a brief review on, by John D. MacDonald. He's an amazing author. He did the Travis McGee series, if any of you have heard of that. It was a very popular series from the late 50s right up to the beginning of the 1980s. And I forget exactly how many books were in the series, but it was quite a bit. And they all have colorful names, like the One Fearful Yellow Eye, and The Lonely Silver Rain, and The Great Blue Goodbye. They're just wonderful books. Well, Cape Fear is not one of those. It's a standalone novel, but it was made into two hit movies, one in 1961 and one in 1991. And it's just an edge of the seat book. A family in peril from a psychopath who is out for vengeance. And now I'm reading American Tabloid by James Elroy, which is interesting because it's kind of the flip side of Stephen King's 11/22/63. Both of them have to do with the Kennedy assassination and the events leading up to it. But King is focusing on the Camelot persona of the Kennedy legacy, whereas American Tabloid is focusing on the dark side, the connections with mafia, with Jimmy Hoffa, and all this other dark stuff. So it's interesting to be reading basically the same plot told from two different sides of the story. And but James Elroy is a brilliant storyteller. L.A. Confidential was probably my favorite book of his so far, but I'm continuing to read more of his stuff, and I'm looking forward to see what else he has to offer, because he's so hard-edged and gritty and unflinching in his storytelling. And the violence is definitely violence. There's no getting around it. He is a very violent writer, but he pulls it off. He pulls it off by surrounding the violent events with where it seems like that's the only outcome that is possible. So if you've never experienced James Elroy, give him a shot, because he's definitely an interesting writer. So that's pretty much it for my March wrap up. I'm going to do another one that's going to be my my April to be reads, which of course is starting with American Tabloid. Since I started it at the end of March, it's going to go into April, and I'll be finishing 11/22/63 in April. But I also have some other books that I plan on reading that tie back to a video I did a while ago about movie tie-ins, and we'll get going on those. Also coming up, there is an event coming up in May called Horror Mayhem that I'll be taking part in, and I've got my books lined up for that. I'll be doing a video on those and why I chose them and what I hope to get out of them. And I guess that's it for now. As always, if you're a subscriber, thanks for coming back. Love having you here. And if you're new, or you've been here before and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It doesn't bite. It just gives you an opportunity to be notified when new content pops up. And hit the like button, and just stay away from the dislike button, because it's a nasty little thing. Just click the like button, and also leave comments. I love to hear your comments about the books I'm reading, about books you're reading, and just your thoughts on books in general, because that's what it's all about. That's what BookTube is all about, talking about books, and we do enjoy it. So for now, remember, amor fati, love your faith, and I'll see you next time.